Wait. Almost there. Okay, we are live. Take it away.
Great. Thank you, Eli. Welcome. I don't have a gavel this time, so we're just gonna pretend that I gavelled the meeting into session. All right. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Who was the second, please? Sorry.
Green.
Green. All right, got it.
Great. And Eli, we have a roll call vote,
Yep.
right?
Trustee Ackman,
Yes.
Trustee Green,
Yes.
Trustee Kleinman,
Yes.
Trustee Leha.
Oh, he's away.
Oh, okay. Trustee
He's on
Moore,
mute.
Yes.
Trustee Song,
Yes.
Trustee Vanderbrook.
Yes.
Passes.
Great. Thank you. Can I get a motion to pass the consent agenda, please?
Lynn,
I
did you
move to
want,
pass
excuse
the-
me, I'm going to interrupt. Lynn,
Yeah.
did you want to make comments at this point? You and I talked about that.
Yes, that's right. So for folks who are just tuning in, we had already welcomed new trustee Wally Kleinman during our closed session, but I think we should give her a proper welcome to the Ann Arbor District Library Board of Trustees. This is her first meeting. Welcome, Mal.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Hello, everyone.
Thank you.
Now officially have another librarian on our board. So I think
Yay.
our credibility has just shot out of the roof. So thank you, welcome, and thank you for committing your time to this wonderful institution.
I'm very excited to be here. Thank you.
Thanks. All right. Thank you, Josie, for that reminder.
Yeah.
All right. Can I'd like to entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda, please.
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Great. Eli, can we get a roll call vote?
Yep. Trustee Ackman,
Yes.
Trustee Green,
Yes.
Trustee Kleinman,
Yes.
Trustee Leha, Trustee Moore,
Yes.
Trustee Song. Trustee Song? Oh,
Yes.
okay. Trustee Vanderbrook.
Yes.
Okay. Motion passes.
Great. Thank you, Eli. Moving on to citizens' comments. Do we have any citizens' comments tonight, Eli?
We have not received any citizens' comments via email or via voicemail or in the chat at this point.
Okay. So for the folks who are following on YouTube, you still have a chance to submit comments through the YouTube chat. Is that right, Eli?
That's correct. Yep.
So please don't hold back. All right. Moving on to financial reports. Josie.
So the financial summary you have in front of you, and I'm looking at it here in paper, for the 9 months ending March 31st, and you'll see that the fund balance is going back up from where we moved money over for some of the work that was being done on the branches. The cash, including investments, decreased, but the decreased from $1 million, from 15 million to as of March 31st, and that was part of that moving of money. The tax receipts, 97.7% of the annual budgeted amount has been received, so essentially all of our tax receipts for the rest of this fiscal year are in the library's hands. And then you see the fund balance activity as being what it is. The revenue, total cash receipts through March equals $17 million. So we have more in revenue than anticipated in this budget year. So there'll be some money to move to the reserve fund, as well as whatever savings there that we accrue because of this closure. And we don't know yet what that might be, but likely some. Expenditures year to date total $11,780,000 something from the general fund, and $362,000 from the capital fund as of the end of March. The total cash expended through March equals $12,646,000 and some dollars. Revenue over and under expenditures, the last sentence is the one I think that it matters to you the most, and the actual cash receipts are at 99.65% of the budget, and the actual cash expended by the end of March was 71.56% of our budget. So we're pretty, by the end of March, 71% of the budget is pretty good, even with a closure for most of March. So we'll see, we'll see where we end up. We're not going to be over budget for sure this year at all. But we had done a good job of spending our money along. So I was glad about that. Grants and memorials. The Friends did send a check for $25,000 to the library right before the closure. So it's not showing up here because it was lost in the mail delay, and we've received it, but you're not seeing it here. But so in addition to what we're seeing here, there is another $25,000 from the Friends of the Library. I do not know what the Friends' anticipated plans will be, or what they might be able to give to the library. And without talking with them, I did not want to assume too much, but we did show in the new budget, which we'll talk about in the proposed budget, a reduction in donation and in grants, because really wasn't sure that the Friends would get back up to speed in a time enough to make the same kind of donation that they're used to making to the library. So those are our grants and memorials. Then you've got the statement, revenues and expenditures for the 9 months ending at the end of March. There are no surprises here. The line that's over is accounting and auditing, and you know why. And we're using contract services to get us through the rest of this fiscal year. And next year, that budget shows you handling that end a different way, so we won't have this huge overage in the same area in the next year. So we covered a staff position with contract services for this fiscal year due to unfortunate circumstances for all involved, and that's why that's like that. But otherwise, everything else is pretty good in terms of the way things are looking. And then in the revenues and expenditures and the governmental funds, this shows you the restricted grants. This shows you where the money is in the total governmental funds for the library and the total amounts. And there are no surprises in this document either from what you're used to seeing. And in the last one, the balance sheet, governmental funds for the 9 months this shows you all the capital funds, the grant funds, the general fund, the total budget for the library. It's all in all our assets, everything's here, and where we are at the end of that 9-month period. And then you've already looked through the check register, which you approved in the consent agenda. So I don't need to talk about that. Any questions about the financial report?
I have a question, Josie.
Okay.
So it looks like we spent about 50% of our anticipated expenditures in programming. I'm wondering what you expect that if we'll end up spending more than that 50%, or if we expect at this point, given current circumstances, to spend no more in programming in effect.
We will spend more because we made the decision to pay those who we had hired to conduct the programming, to pay through our calendar of where people were committed, and we're doing that. And we made the decision today to cancel June programming, so that will include that cost of that too. So you will see that go up through the rest of the year. Yeah.
Okay. And I had one other question, which, crikey, I've forgotten. So maybe somebody else has another question.
You can ask me any time in the meeting. If you
I was
remember.
just going to commend the decision to pay the folks that you had entered into, agreements with before we hit the closure, which I feel like is very just ethical and generous in this period.
Thank you, Jim. That's how we felt about it.
Yeah,
A lot
thank
of
you,
them
Tim.
are local. And so thought it was important.
Josie, I do have one more question. I recalled what it was, which is we have the meeting space project I think of is mostly done, although I think there was a small piece that was not done at Pittsfield yet. And we were working on the 4th floor meeting room when we closed. I think that's probably still the status, right? I mean, that we have a sort of a half-done project on the 4th floor. Do you expect any?
It's more than half done. We were just finishing up the podcast room and the control room. So pretty much apart from those two spaces, it's close to finished. At Pittsfield, what we were waiting on down there was some baffling for sound in the meeting rooms there and at Mallett's Creek, and maybe at Trevorwood, depends upon how that works out there. But as the meeting room space itself at Pittsfield was close to finished as well. So.
I mean, what I was really wondering is, again, was there any budgetary impact that we should expect to see as a result of the pause of that work? I don't think there's.
I don't think so.
Okay, that's what I thought too.
The equipment, the product that we've been waiting on, will be coming in. We paid for that in this fiscal year is what we plan. The work on the 4th floor, Lynn is trying to organize that to get that completed. And even during the closure, depending upon the contractor, some of that work can be done. And we're having HVAC work done now downtown, and then the heavy cleaning, the heavy cleaning and disinfecting of all the buildings is going on now. So there are people in the building. The 4th floor is 95% done, and there won't be any impact on the budget.
Okay. And I should say, I asked the question because I wondered about it, but I did not in any way mean to imply that I individually or the board was pushing to have these projects done in some way under these circumstances.
No,
so
I understand that. Yeah, I understand that. We were so close, and so everything had to stop. But certain things like certain work, when things have to get done with HVACs and boilers, the building, that work has to happen. And so
only the essential work, obviously,
that's
that
right.
needs the governor's order.
That's exactly right. So there's a hold right now on the work that's not essential, like the control room and the podcast rooms. Right.
Great. Thank you so much.
And when that material comes in, I mean, no one will be happier than we will be when the material comes in for sound baffling down at Mallett's Creek, particularly, and Pittsfield. So we'll get that put up as soon as we can.
Right. As soon as it's safe. Great. Thank you so much, Josie.
Yeah, you're welcome. Any other questions about the budget?
Josie, for the additional costs that we're incurring as we consider reopening whenever the order is lifted, the barriers, are there other things that we're anticipating that would change in the next month or so?
In terms of the budget?
Mm-hmm.
No, the plexiglass, the plexi shields for the desks that Lynn had budget. He had budget for that. And the other things that we're going to have to do it's a lot of sanitizer, masks. Mostly it's looking at how to space things out to meet the distancing requirements. For instance, we'll disable or remove every other computer in our labs so that people aren't close together. We'll have to have a system in place with staff to clean after every person who uses a computer, an OPAC catalog computer, or a computer lab computer, any computer, we'll be constantly going through and cleaning that up. So I think that the materials and the supplies to do all of that there'll be increased cost for those things, but I think that the budget will sustain that. I don't think there's going to be a problem with that.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
Do we have any other questions for Josie? Great.
Thank you all.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Josie.
Very much.
Moving on to committee reports, the executive committee met just prior to closed session. And mostly we just discussed, planning out Josie's evaluation, going through a little bit of the history of how we came to the process that we're using. So that will be presented at the next board meeting. Did I miss anything, Corrine or Jim? No.
Sounds good.
Thanks. Budget and Finance Committee. Dharma.
Yeah, so we met on April 6th, and this meeting was mostly to talk about the draft budget that we're going to be talking about in this meeting, and about the current financial situation, which you guys just heard about is good. I don't think there's anything else worth mentioning. Victoria, Jamie, what about you?
No, I think that's good.
Thanks.
Moving on to director's report. Josie again, please.
Right. So we have slides that Eli will put up that take you through. Okay, so I'm going to let him advance them and I'll talk about them. So our TV, AADL TV, has been on the air since 17th. I'll remind you we closed on the 13th. Programming 7 days a week. It's all archived on YouTube. And story times are in the morning, arts and crafts are in the afternoon, and then there's TV at night, AADL TV at night. And that's a little bit more of a family-oriented or adult-oriented programming. Below are the views, the watch times, and the subscribers to our YouTube channel. It's possible to watch our events without subscribing, but it's much more straightforward if one subscribes. So we encourage anybody looking to subscribe. The Bumper Game. The first badge drop was Monday. I can't see my,
It's Monday, March 16th.
Okay, the 16th, thank you. So since then, 2,517 players. Since the last time we talked to you, it's up 22%. And the points earned is up 122%, badges 121%, 36,693 badge. So we're very, very happy to say that people got into the Bumper Game. The Bumper Game will be winding down at I think if I say this, am I going to get in trouble, Eli?
No, that's okay.
Okay. The Bumper Game is going to wind down at the end of April to give us May to get ready for Summer Game. And Bumper Game points will be usable for the Summer Game shop. So we don't want anybody thinking that they're going to lose their points. Also, all of the Bumper Game badges will be available as part of Summer Game. So if you did not get through the Bumper Game badges and you're just determined to do that, you will get your opportunity. You're not losing your opportunity. So Minecraft, we started our Minecraft back up in this period of time. We relaunched that server, and people have been playing and exploring downtown and beyond in Minecraft. There's a whole downtown that was designed. And then this comment came this week, which I felt was important to share with you. Thank you all so much for the Minecraft server. My 9-year-old has enjoyed it immensely. He has built with other kids and is getting his first taste of social interaction in weeks. I could cry with how happy I am to see him laugh. That sentence for me was everything. Oh, you all, that was the best sentence. Right now, he's a turtle and is playing hide and seek virtually. I appreciate the library so much. Thank you, thank you. Eli let me know that there were kids out on Minecraft playing hide and seek, and they were counting down and saying, ready or not, here I come, in downtown Ann Arbor on Minecraft. I mean, that's just when you can't go outside, that's about as close to perfect as you can get. So, and then Points-O-Matic Super Serializer. I have to say that I went in and looked at this, and I was so impressed by the questions that people were asking. And Sarah Waddell, our manager of collections, is taking care of this. If you are someone who reads books in a series, you want to read them in order. You do not want to read them all over the place. And it is often not, sometimes they, in our catalog system, they come miscatalogued and they can get into the system wrong. And then trying to find them and correct them, and that's a lot of work. So having the Points-O-Matic Super Serializer encourages the type of person who wants to help with this, who wants to get into the data and search it out. And people are doing it and having a good time with it. And we're very pleased because it helps us a lot to do this. So the one comment back there that I thought was great, if you need an example of a library that is vastly ahead with online services, look at AADL.org. I love that comment personally. Okay. Operation Face Shield. I know we let you guys know about this. We have 3 people on our staff who are working with the 3D printers that are owned by the library. They've taken, each of them have taken one home, and they're working to fabricate parts of face shields for the effort in the county to help have enough face shields at the hospital systems throughout our area. So we're not building full face shields, but parts of face shields. So I wanted you to see this. So we're very happy about that. The AADL card, the remote card, is still available. We had over 200 cards issued over remotely, and anyone who's interested in a library card who can't get in to get one, obviously can let us know, and we will get them the information that they need and get a card to them so that they can use all the online downloadable services. The call center launched March 18th. It remains open 12 to 6 weekdays, about 500 calls and 23 service days. And just for you all to know, that's a way low number. But we're happy to have been there for the 500 callers. And you can see the how it's beginning to go down and flatten out down. So now that we've been in this position. So the social media response to the Ann Arbor library dog Zoom, is what you can see here. We did cats, we did dogs, we just did babies, I believe, this past weekend.
That's right. It was this past Saturday.
This past Saturday, yeah. So this was dogs. So people were very happy to be with Zoom with their dogs. I think you said you had people from all over the country coming in on this, Eli?
Yeah, both the dog one and the cat one had people from out of state, either that relatives had told them about or they had seen it by seeing our social media.
Yep. So,
does that mean that the strange animals is this weekend?
I don't know.
Exotic Pets is this Saturday.
Oh, I gotta get it on my
pet.
calendar.
Oh, exotic. Is it exotic pets? Okay, so I'm out of that list. Okay.
Not
No, I
strange
would call it
animals,
donkey
sorry.
fairly exotic. Yes.
Exotic. A donkey's not exotic. A donkey's like a cow. I mean, really. So we'll talk about it. But yes, we have exotic pets. So we'll see people's snakes and their birds, and probably somebody's got a spider out there. You know, it will be an interesting group probably. Okay. This was a response to our online story times. And so this is a child at story time with Elizabeth Pierce. And I can see Elizabeth doing her story time. And then Christopher Becker is on his porch. And look at him. He's got on his tie and his dress shirt. And he's sitting on his porch with his puppets. And he's doing this outside. So somebody put this on Instagram. And then it got such a great response as him actually doing the work and how he's doing the work. Social media response in general to everything that's going on at the library. A lot of families, Bummer Game, people signing their names. So I think that you should see what we see when we see this. We send it on, make sure the staff, people involved know and can feel good about what they're doing. It's a little bit removed. It's not like having smiling people in front of you. So, the stats speak for themselves, and then we have captures of different things that we're doing. But the impressions and the engagements since the closure, March 13th through April 20th. Yep, through April 20th.
And that's it.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I did receive a comment that came from a patron, and he was telling everybody to calm down, that it was going to be okay, that the library would come up with a plan for how everybody was going to get their hold items, and it was going to be fine. But what I loved the most about the comment was this person talking about how much he used the library, how much he relied on the library, but how he was not going to be one of the people rushing down to the library the first week it was open, that it would be there and he would wait because he didn't want to be in the crowd. And I thought, smart, very smart, and I appreciated that he put it right there in his comment out on to other people. So I just thought you should know that too. So that's my report for what we're doing in terms of programs and services. We are talking at the admin level about the steps we need to take when we can reopen. We're not talking about when, because we don't know, and we don't have enough information to even guess that. But we do know what we have to do to reopen, and so and the time it might take to do that, and we're beginning to have those conversations to plan. So I wanted to reassure you and the public that we are in the process of doing that. We're going to extend due dates out to the end of May now, from April 30th to May 30th, so that no one with the material out has to be concerned about it being overdue. It's not going to be overdue. And if we just want to take that pressure off of people so that they don't have to worry about that. It's our goal. No one's going to be charged overdue fines for anything that's been checked out during this period of time. So, any questions about my report?
Josie, can you speak to a little bit about, so the Minecraft project is actually something that came up, was originally from a couple years back, and we're just kind of bringing it back. Is that?
We brought it back for this time period. I mean, the thing to remember about Minecraft is it's the internet. So things can happen on Minecraft. Someone could come in and write something rude, coarse, or obnoxious. They could build a building that is inappropriate or has a label that's inappropriate. And there's nothing we can do to stop a child from seeing it. We can take it off. We can ban that person. But before an act occurs, it's the internet. Part of, we had the Minecraft up for a long time, but Eli can speak a little bit more about exactly why we stopped, but this has something to do with it. So we're paying close attention, and if we need to, we'll tell someone you can't be a part of this, and we'll erase their poor judgment actions. But there's no guarantee when your children are on Minecraft through the library that they're not going to see something that you'd prefer they didn't see.
Right. But I think the motivation behind, like the bigger motivation behind having something like Minecraft is that it allows kids to explore use a game to explore downtown, right?
Right, because originally Minecraft was used to build downtown, and so it's built, it's there. And so that's why these 9-year-olds playing hide and seek were toddlers when this was done. So here they are playing hide and seek in downtown Ann Arbor on Minecraft. And they, it never would have occurred to any of us that they would be doing that. and that that's what they were doing. So, and that's
Yeah.
perfect use of this. Perfect.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Do we have any other questions for Josie for her director's report? Any thoughts? Am I the only one that noticed that the AADL TV logo looks like a certain music channel?
I just noticed that. I was going to say something. I love it. And it matches Jim's background too. Just
Yeah,
like
right?
the era.
Yeah. The era.
On top of it.
Yeah, the era.
Josie, there was also something that was just recently announced. So speaking of backgrounds, the Zoom backgrounds, right, from our archives. Is that where?
Yeah, some of the Zoom backgrounds from our archive. Yeah, they came. They decided to do some of those, and I don't know which ones you saw, but some of them are of the lobby and the downstairs first floor. It was a reading room when the library was originally built, and it was not stacks. It did not have shelving in it, and so it stayed that way into the 80s or later. But it was that was the reading room of the building, because the building was only 2 floors, and so that was the reading room.
Is there
So yes, we're trying to pull things from the archive to liven things up, and sounds like we did.
Is there a possibility of having artwork from previous summer games?
In what way?
As Zoom
As
backgrounds?
Yeah,
Yeah, I think we could manage that.
it's the artwork. It's so distinctive, and it's something I think folks really look forward to every summer, seeing it on the buses. And
Wait till you see this year's. We have a celebrity designer.
Fun.
It's going to be a lot of fun. I've seen the first rendition, so I'm pretty happy about it.
Well, Josie, maybe the most notable thing is about the director's report in this situation is how much like every other director's report it is that you give us. Like, it's pretty incredible what everyone is turning out during this time. It's
Yes.
Yeah, like
people stepped up. People asked for something to do, and they've come up with ideas. We have a system called Pitch a Plan, and people pitch a plan to Eli and Rich and Sherlanya, and they can pitch a plan, about how, not only what it is they want to do, but how they do it, and then so they look at those, and they look at in terms of, does it fit in? Is there timing for it? Are there enough programmings in that or not in this? So that's how that's happening. And there was no restriction on who could pitch a plan. So we have people doing programs who are book pros, who are not people who program for the library or who work on the public side of the library much at all, except to put material away. And they're all enthusiastic because they have these hobbies and things they do that they can give to other people through these videos, YouTubes, and they're having a blast with it. So we may not be able to put the genie back into that bottle. That's been fascinating. And so the depth and the breadth of ability, creativity, skill, and just it's just incredible. If the whole staff is asked or told, you're welcome to pitch a plan, and people do, this is what bubbles up. So it's pretty, it's very gratifying for me. And I think you're seeing it in so much of the community in terms of, if you look at the views and see what people are looking at. So Eli, what about Saturday's Ride On awards ceremony? Were there any stats from that we couldn't get before
let's see. I think when I last checked it, it had about 70 views. But it will be viewed more as time goes on. But we did do the announcement of the Ride On Awards as a live event featuring the author who was going to come here.
That's right. And so that happened on Saturday. We're in about our 24th year of that, probably 23rd or 24th year of that, and that could happen. That those children, young people involved in that, did not have to be disappointed, was pretty special. And
there's 159 views of that as of this moment.
Okay, all right, and it'll grow for sure. So that happened on Saturday. That's another thing that we did. So that takes your typical writing contest, and where usually you bring everybody to one place and you have someone speak, give a little talk about being a writer, and then the awards are announced and the prizes are given out. And we didn't have to not do that. And so so the awards will be mailed to the writers who won awards. So we're happy about that. So I think, Jamie, it just is about the staff and the culture and how people know that when we say we mean anybody can be involved, we mean anybody can be involved. And just like the people who took 3D printers home, they wanted to, and they wanted to do it, and they wanted to be involved, and so they are. Yeah. So.
Any other thoughts or questions for Josie? Well, thank you, Josie.
Thank you.
Great. Moving on our agenda to new business. We have an item of discussion on the proposed 2020-2021 budget.
So I have asked Cindy Richmond from Manor Casterison to join this meeting. I think it's helpful if she talks you through this proposed budget. Is she with us, Eli?
She is. We're waiting for her video to resume, but we should be. Can you hear us, Cindy? There we
Yes,
go.
I can. Here I am.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Oh, we like your background. Very
Oh,
nice.
thank you.
Oh, very nice. So, Cindy, thank you for joining the board meeting. And what I was hoping you would be able to do is walk through the board with the narrative description of the budget that we're proposing, the basis for this budget that we've discussed, and any particular questions they have about the budget document itself as we propose. So, is that all right, Lynn? Okay, thank you. So go ahead, Cindy.
Great. So I think the number one thing to mention about this budget, especially in the revenue section, is conservative. We decided with the kind of uncertainty in the economic climate these days that the budget should reflect conservatism in both tax collections and other areas of the budget. So as you look at the tax revenue, you'll see a modest increase of $312,000. That's projected at 1.8375 mils and a 2.5% increase in the taxable budget base. I realize that that's low, but once again, we just really wanted to be conservative and make sure that we're able to live within our means in 2021. The only other small decline is in grants and memorials, and I think Josie has already touched on the fact that we're not exactly certain how quickly the Friends will get back up and running. For expenses, the salaries and wages line item includes a 3% increase, a merit pool for staff, and the budgets include a very modest increase of 2.76% in health costs, which we're happy to have this year, but don't anticipate it will move forward into subsequent years. So the total personnel cost actually only goes up about $156,000. Where you will see a small increase is in the accounting and audit line item, as discussed with the contract with Manor Casterison. And then some small increases in communications as those costs continue to increase, as well as, where'd it go? I apologize. The cost to have the building deep cleaned and the continued cleaning once the library reopens. So the total increases in operating expenses are $253,000. We're budgeting for a net surplus deficit of 0, and anticipate that this is a budget that the library can live within very comfortably, and yet not experiencing a lot of increases in either revenue or expense.
So thank you, Cindy. So now it's time for any discussion that you all might want to have or questions. I've asked Cindy to be part of this. If there are other questions that I don't feel comfortable or have enough knowledge to answer.
I have one question. So I don't know if I'm.
You need to just, yeah, get a little louder. There you are.
Oh, can you hear me? So
Yes.
we had talked about bumps in tax collection and the timing of that. That won't be impacting this draft budget, though.
It won't impact the total taxes received. It might impact the timing of those, as they have discussed moving the late fee back from August 1st to later in the year. So we might be receiving revenues later, and we'll be watching cash flows, but it will not impact the actual total revenue.
And then also the rebates at the end of the year.
Oh, correct.
Yep. So those will, property owners will be applying for their property values to be changed so their taxes are lower, and large property owners in particular, but it takes 9 months or so to go through that process. So we'll be getting the notifications in spring of next year that we have to give money back to certain taxing units because they have to give money back to certain property owners. And we expect that amount of money to be more than usual in what are called abatements or rebates for taxes. Yep.
And Josie, if that is higher than the current budget year, the budget allows, which I do understand what you're saying about it, Cindy said about being conservative, we would expect to cover any higher than expected abatement through fund balance, right?
Correct.
I have one other question that's about the salary line. I saw a very modest increase for next year's salary budget, but that we, over the approved amount, but that our projected amount that we're actually expecting to spend this year is less than we originally budgeted. Is that due to just staff vacancies in open positions, Josie, that have since been filled?
I think we had vacancies that we held vacant until we made a decision about how we were going to handle certain department work. And then we fill them here right at the end and before I'm trying to think, how did Cindy, we had vacancies and then mostly it's about having vacancies that just weren't filled. And
right. And there are a couple of positions that I know they've had a hard time finding full or part-time people to work for. So they've been vacant for an extended period of time.
Right. We've had some, yep, that's right.
And I would expect
we've had a full-time job that we've had a hard time filling, and that adds up. Yeah.
I would expect in current economic circumstances, we might have less of that in the next year or so, that people will hold on to the jobs they have, or it'll be easier to fill them in some ways, so that we can't expect the same kind of, there's a $500,000 extra because of coincidental vacancies. Does that make sense to you though?
Yes.
Would you agree with that?
Yes, it does.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. Thank you so much.
Anyone else? Concerns about any?
This is the meat of our work, the budget.
Yep.
The annual budget. All right. Well, Josie, if we have any follow-up questions, we can contact you directly, and you can help coordinate any answers.
Yes. Right. So I want to make sure it's clear that in the employee benefits, we're not seeing a large increase in our healthcare, and it's under 3%. And the library is budgeted to pick that up. It's not being passed along. So I want to make sure you all know that, and that the employer contribution to MIPS 403B is remaining 10% in this budget. So the 3% merit pool is pretty standard. It's been the merit pool for the library all the years, 18 years I've been director, except for the year following when the library was when there was a recession in 2008, 9, 10. So there was a year when there was a 1% increase, and then we were able to, in following year, go back to 3. But we had several years there where there was no increase, and then a small increase, and then we built it back up. So the 3%'s been pretty much what the library's tried to accomplish. That's why it's 3%. So,
But even during the last downturn, there were no layoffs. Is that
that's correct.
right?
There were no layoffs. That's correct. Yeah. Attrition helped us manage that. Yes.
Well, we're in a lucky spot. So, we're fortunate to be in a well-managed institution, to be able to cover our staff, make sure they're paid, and that we'll be able to see through another recession. So
Lynn, your audio keeps kind of randomly cutting in and
Yeah.
out,
Oh,
so
no.
we can't hear
Just
you.
a little bit.
Yeah.
okay.
The
Well,
the last thing I'll say about the budget is that we should hear from the county in the next
Okay.
week about what our actual millage amount can be based on Headley, and what the Headley would do to it. And we'll know more then about what the projections would be, if it's less or even maybe a little better. But unless there's need for major adjustment in the budget, this is the budget we'll bring to you for approval in May.
Great. I just wanted to thank the Finance and Budget Committee for working so hard, and Cindy also for coming and joining us tonight. So great. I think hopefully you can
Thanks,
hear me a little bit
Cindy.
better.
Yeah, sounds perfect.
Okay,
Okay.
great. Thank you. Thank you, Cindy.
Thank you.
Let's see, moving on to our next item of discussion. It's the space use agreement with the Friends of the Ann Arbor District Library. Josie, can you walk us through that?
I can. This space use agreement is the same one that's in effect now, and the drawings and the attachments are the actual spaces that are currently being used by the Friends of the Library on the first floor, which is the shop, and downstairs in the lower level, which is their sorting area. So this is the same agreement, no changes, and the same spaces, and that I'm prepared to ask you to agree to in May, and then we can offer this agreement to the Friends of the Library for the ongoing work that they've done. And I have not spoken with them about the agreement, and nor have I spoken with them about their intentions post-pandemic. So I haven't had that conversation with the Friends.
Okay, any discussion? Any thoughts?
I guess my only question would be, is this just like basically a renewal of what they've had, or is there any changes?
It's a renewal of what they have currently right now.
Okay.
And I have not spoken to Pat McDonald, the president, about it either, but I guess my expectation would be that that this will meet their needs and that we would have a conversation with them if they say something different to us.
What I would say to you is that in terms of actual physical space, this is what the library has.
Right. We can't make the building bigger as it is now.
Bigger, no. And but I haven't heard from Pat either, so I'm gonna make sure I do that this week, or try to. So
currently rents. We rent space off-site of the downtown library to accommodate our own needs, right?
We do. Yes, storage space. Yes, we do.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
I just wonder, Josie, if we're always coming back to this question of like the shop is open different times as the building, and if that's a conversation that we need to open up again.
Well, this agreement stipulates that the library is not involved in the business of the shop. It's that it isn't, and so I've made sure that the library is not involved in the business of the shop. We take the money at the branches, because the sales out there are just on shelves, and people can come up and pull something and buy it, and then we take the money, and then we write the friends a check at the end of the month for any money that comes through our cash, our registers. And so we have not had a conversation with them about their hours, and so and that is not, there's no stipulation about that in this agreement. So that's the kind of conversation now. That's why I'm bringing it to you as a draft. If you want me to open this up to that conversation, this is where I'd need to hear that.
Well, I mean, do we have similar terms for like Sweetwater's over at Westgate, where we've coordinated hours with
We told them that we needed them to tell us what hours they needed for their business to succeed, and they ultimately did, and we worked with them on that, and that's led to the extension of hours at Westgate and on Saturdays and Sundays that we don't see in other parts of the system, and that works. But the other thing to know about Sweetwater's is at a certain point, the library receives a percentage of their net over and above a certain amount beyond what the rent agreement is. So the library benefits directly, and it's legally through the lease, from their real success. So their incentive to be open and to be working is there. And it is, and we benefit from that. There's nothing in this agreement with the Friends that stipulates a benefit to the library that way. And the Friends determine what they give to the library each year without any conversation with us. And it's not there's no agreement. There's nothing written about what that has to be. There never has been.
Josie, is the term of this agreement 1 year? Am I remembering that correctly?
They're all 1 year. That's correct. And I wouldn't recommend they be anything other than 1 year. Yes. And this year is a perfect example of why. Yeah, right.
Great. Any other thoughts about this? I think Josie said the next step is that you'll be advancing this to their board then?
I will send it to Pat and tell her this is in front of you all for approval in May. And if she has questions or desired changes or edits, that she needs to get it back to me before that, so that I can let you know what they've requested and we can discuss it.
Great. Okay, so we'll see this again on the agenda of the next board
Correct.
board meeting.
Correct. In
Great.
May. That's right.
All right, great. Thanks, everyone. Are we all set on moving on? Yes? Okay. We have a vote for closed session. Can I get a motion?
I would move for closed session at the May 18th, 2020 regular board meeting for director's evaluation.
Second.
Great. I think that was Jamie for a second. Eli, can we get a roll call vote, please?
Yep. Trustee Ackman?
Yes.
Discussion. Sorry. Call for discussion
Oh,
before vote. Sorry.
you're right. Any discussion? Is there any discussion on this motion?
Thank you.
Okay. Trustee Ackman?
Yes.
Trustee Green?
Yes.
Trustee Kleinman?
Yes.
Trustee Leha?
Yes.
Trustee Moore?
Yes.
Trustee Song?
Yes.
Trustee Vanderbrook?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Great. Thank you, everyone. On to citizens' comments. Eli, do we have any citizens' comments?
We have not received any.
Oh. And so
That's so weird.
We have 18 concurrent viewers.
Oh my gosh,
Oh,
18.
up, doubled. My goodness.
Yes.
Hello, 18 people. That's so exciting. I'm excited. And that doesn't include us, right, Eli?
That's correct. Unless you also have YouTube open, which some of you might.
Gotta bump those numbers.
It's a time-honored
Summer
library
game
tradition.
points. Get my summer game points.
Well, as always, people can reach out to Josie and to the library with any questions that you have. I should say that I thought it was really interesting that the numbers that were presented, we have 120,000 people in Ann Arbor. Those numbers are pretty awesome. Well, please don't hold back, citizens of Ann Arbor.
Goodness gracious.
One thing I'll say, the point I'll make, Lynn, is in the district, in the whole district, we have 165,000.
Right, that's right, the townships.
Hello, Otter. Hello.
All right, well, with that, I'll adjourn the meeting. Thank you so much. We'll see you next month then. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks.
Thank
Good
you
night.
all.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Welcome, Molly.
Thanks.
Welcome.